So as we load up into the second game, and I have to fix the team sides for both sides, we're going to be getting into Game 2 of the Phoenix League series between Bring Back Dominion and eGirl Fanboys.
I will wait for you to be better.
After a dominating win in Game 1, going to be interesting to see if Bring Back Dominion can make a comeback and make this a 3-game series, or if eGirl Fanboys are able to close this out in 2. First 2 bans are going to be going down right now. Camille has been banned away once again. Target banned last game, again banned this game against Roxas. Next we're going to have Caitlyn banned away. They don't want to have to deal. I'm in the main lobby. They don't want to have to deal. Oh shit.
Microphone muted.
Sorry about that. A little bit of difficulty in the TeamSpeak.
Well, no.
Channel switched.
Let's change that really quick. They don't want to have to deal with the Caitlyn once again. Yeah, I'm very glad that you mentioned that, because you're the only other person in the TeamSpeak main lobby. Getting into the game. First ban phase complete. Caitlyn banned away. They don't want to have to deal with the oppressive laning phase again. They don't want to have to deal with the eventual scaling. And really with the static shift changes, should always be banned away until either that or Caitlyn gets nerfed. Orianna banned away as well. They don't want to have to deal with either side really having that wombo combo ball available for the mid lane. Nami has been banned away again. Another target ban towards Rainbows, this time in the first ban phase. Shen being banned away in return for the potential global pressure across the map with that stand united at level 6. And of course, Zac banned away, still considered one of the strongest initiators in the game right now. Multiple tools to CC, a lot of ways to really screw with those carries that don't have the mobility to get away. Thresh being first pick for Yoo-Hoo Maniac means that Yoo-Hoo Maniac, are they in the right order? They should be in the right order. I'm assuming that's the right order. Anyway, they're going to be picking that up first pick for the Thresh. They want the playmaking potential, they want the death sentence, the lantern, really a lot of tools, everything you could ever possibly want on a support, all in the kit of one Thresh, being first picked, prioritized over everything else. Galio and Kha'Zix being locked in. Galio has been considered one of the strongest frontliners in the game right now. His damage reduction top notch, his magic damage shield, nice little buff, and really a lot of initiation tools along with a get out of jail free card for any carry caught out of position. Kha'Zix being locked in as well. They do want a dominant jungler who can really duel as early as level 3. Meanwhile, Rek'Sai and Fiora are going to be locked in on the side of the eGirl Fanboys. They both get the counter picks they want. Rek'Sai's been locked in for a lot of more aggressive junglers currently in the LCS. They really like the new damage changes. You can see that actually happening as really as recently as yesterday with the CLG versus Cloud9 series. And we saw the CLG could take full advantage of it. Going to be interesting to see if Tapmaster can do the same here. Fiora being locked in against the Galio. Galio, despite having good tools to CC and peel with, not exactly that great in the 1v1 against somebody as mobile and as tank shredding as Fiora. Going to be interesting to see if Roxas can survive the early pressure from that laning phase. Janna going to be locked in for Rainbows, another one of the many mage supports she has in her kit, or in her repertoire really. Considered the queen of peel, with Galio and Janna being locked in. Going to be interested, because apparently I'm interested for everything and I can't think of a synonym for the word. And what they decide to pick up for the marksman role, considering just how much protection they've already got for this composition. Ahri and Syndra both being banned away. That's some heavy pinching on the mid lane pool. They really want to force Wonder Ginger onto something he's a little less comfortable with the Lucian and the Gnar being banned in return. A little bit strange with the Gnar ban. They might be assuming I'm here to have fun is going to play the Galio mid potentially instead, and they want to get the top counter pick for the Fiora. Xayah is going to be locked in now. Once again, they want to keep that Xayah, the playmaking potential, the absolute damage she has, and really just the control she has over corridors with the way her feathers work means she's very potent in team fights that they can kind of manipulate. We can see that Jhin has been locked in to finish that bottom lane roster of the Jhin Thresh combo. That's definitely a lot of CC that you're going to have to worry about. If a death sentence lands, you know that that W is going to land as well, and then the flay, and then the trap, and then the box. Really, if you get caught by it, you're probably not going to be able to get out. Now we have just the mid lane picks left for both teams. Corki's going to get locked in for Wonder Ginger. They did ban away a lot of the mages, so it looks like he's going to be opting for another marksman. And I do like this a lot, because otherwise they would have had a full ADC comp, or full AD comp really. But with the Corki, that is a ton of magic damage, and with the most recent changes, of course, now the ratio's 80 to 20% on magic damage. But it looks like they do want to put this Galio in the mid lane. They feel comfortable with the matchup on against the Corki. They feel that his magic damage shield might help with the way Corki now interacts with champions. And so they're going to be sending that in the mid lane with a Rumble in the top lane instead. Now with this Rumble versus Fiora matchup, some might say it's Fiora favored. I definitely say it's way too volatile to call until we actually see the execution. But either way, unless we see a Fervor Rumble coming out from Roxas, Cloud9 Ray style, we're probably going to have a pretty close matchup in the top lane until one side can get an edge over the other. And now to talk about a couple of the other matchups. Jhin Thresh is definitely an oppressive lane if they could land their abilities, but if they cannot, they're probably going to be having a tough time to really get through. Just with the amount of peel and the shielding Janna can provide for the Xayah means that she should have a relatively safe laning phase as long as she can dodge a couple forms of CC during that laning. Really what it comes down to is the early pressure that these two junglers are going to be able to exert on the game. Kha'Zix gets his pick of the litter. There's not really a true tank on the side of the eGirl Fanboys, and that's something that he would love to take full advantage of, especially with that upfront burst he has early on in the game. You can definitely catch somebody off surprise when they're really not expecting it, but at the same time Rek'Sai can fully utilize the lack of mobility on the side of Bring Back Dominion. Tunneling through some really unique jungle paths means that he can catch people off guard just as well, and with the changes to being a more damage focused jungler, he can certainly burst someone as well. 2 more minutes on the spectator delay before we can finally start loading in, see the setups for these runes and masteries for these two teams. But just talking about the actual experience for both of these teams, well, let's talk about champion pools. Fiora is not on the top 10 most played for Qatar. Maybe he's got more experience than meets the eye. Going to be a tough matchup regardless, just because of how the lane works. If he does mess up some of his combos, or he doesn't get the cooldown reduction on his Q by hitting something, he's definitely going to get punished with those harpoons, that immense slow that comes out from the Rumble. Clive does not play a lot of Jhin, but he's definitely had very good stats overall this season with Jhin. A 71% win rate on that champion means that he definitely feels confident going into this matchup. Wonder Ginger is definitely versatile when it comes to the mid lane. A lot of different champions in his pool, but Corki is not something we have seen, and that might typically be just because he hasn't really been in the meta except for now. The most recent changes are what really pushed him back in to the mid lane, and we may see this become a more common pick as the weeks go on. Tap Master does not really play much Rek'Sai either. Again, he doesn't have very much to go on this season, not exactly playing a lot of solo queue, but not in his top 10 played either. And for Yoo-Hoo Maniac, this is his comfort pick, his most played. Thresh is exactly what he wanted to get this game, and it's why it was picked so early on in the draft. They really felt comfortable first picking this. They didn't feel like they could get counterpicked, but in return, Janna is the second most played champ for Rainbows. Of course, Nami, who has been banned away both games, being her first. She should be comfortable playing into this matchup very well, and Xayah, as we saw last game, is definitely a pick that Rito Gods Please is comfortable on as well. Kha'Zix is actually the most played jungler for Reaver as well, to kind of give a little bit of perspective, and that's by a mile. Kha'Zix is easily his most played champion, and something that he definitely has a lot of experience on. For Roxas, he doesn't exactly have a lot of Rumble games, but he's played enough to at least know his way around the champion. And with that, we are going to be loading into the Rift very shortly. Loading screen should be coming onto your screen now. The music is getting shut down, and we finally get to see the selected masteries for this matchup in Game 2. Fervor of Battle is taken for the Fiora. She does want to get those procs with her Q. Just one moment. Loading into the game now. I'm assuming going to be a lot of the same standard masteries we can expect from both teams. Let's bring that scoreboard up. Take the time control down. And we are loaded up into the Rift. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be starting Game 2 in the matchup between Bring Back Dominion and eGirl Fanboys. I should probably fix the scoreboard while I'm at it. That's going to be a one win for the eGirl Fanboys, and that's been fixed. Uh-oh, we got an invade coming in the bottom side of the map. Galio is unaware. Here comes the hook. Not going to land. Just a little bit of poke in return, but really, Galio is just going to be able to shrug that off just fine with a recall. They do manage to get a little bit of information on the map with how exactly people are defending. They might have even spotted the Kha'Zix out on the edge. They definitely saw the Rumble, and they know that he's around the top side of the map, but it looks like the teams are just going to be going to their assigned spots. Now, Corki is in the mid lane looking for any movement. We can see that the bottom lane for eGirl Fanboys are not opting to get anywhere close to that jungle right now. They'd rather standard tower. They saw the early invade coming from the Thresh. They're really hesitant to check on this specifically. As we look, it looks like it's going to be a Raptors start for the Kha'Zix. Both solo laners are moving away because they know that it has been warded, but they're going to be going for it anyway. It's just going to be too late for a reaction. The Phosphorus Bomb is going to be going down for the Rek'Sai, getting a nice little leash on those Raptors early on. Both junglers going to be starting this Raptors level 1 so that they can get an early lead on experience. Both of them going to be getting level 2 before they even fully finish the camp. Gonna quick do a double check on the runes to see if either one of them decided to go for the extra level cheese and go for the experience runes. Actually, I can't check the game. That's a shame. Oh, that's already a flash being blown. I really should have paid a little more attention, but looks like that trading back and forth did go in the favor of Galio, and he's forced to flash away right away. He had to flash out of the Phosphorus Bomb range. And this is going to be one of the disadvantages of playing into a ranged matchup. Level 2 is going to be going down first for Bring Back Dominion. They managed to drop the Ignite onto the Janna. She has to flash away, and the bouncing grenade forces the Xayah to use her heal as well. They wind up trading 1 for 2 summoner spells, and that's a very hurt Janna that now has to heal for a little while. Some more trading going on back and forth as we expected. This Corki's already starting to get that CS lead in the mid lane, dominating that lane early on. The ranged versus melee matchup is not one that Galio enjoys. The feathers are going to be drawn back, but not enough to snare the enemy Thresh. They do miss the cannon creep. Ooh, that's going to sting a little bit, but in exchange they do get the bouncing grenade onto both Xayah and Janna, a little bit more poke. We can see that this game Xayah feels a little bit more confident in this matchup. No Doran shield for her this time. She wants the more aggressive Doran's Blade option. The lane is being shoved in the favor of Fiora. A little bit of trading back and forth. The Courage of the Colossus gets proc. That's going to be the heal coming right away. Now some favorable trading on the side of Galio. Both the Flay and the Hook are going to miss. Xayah's going to counterattack a little bit, but Jhin still manages to get his 4th shot off onto the Janna. Some more trading going back and forth in this bottom lane. Both sides being very aggressive. They want to see if they can get the edge out in these poke wars, in these trade wars. In the meantime, we can see there's already a nice CS advantage on the side of the Corki. Some more bouncing grenades going down. He really wants to get those force shots off onto the enemy rather than on minions. The riposte does go down, but that's a lot of damage onto the side of Fiora. The riposte means that slowed attack speed cancels an auto for the Rumble, so at least he doesn't get the empowered auto overheated onto the Fiora. But overall, a nice little trade for the Rumble. Some more trading back and forth in this top lane. Fiora, despite her normally going the Doran's Blade, what's considered the, a little bit of trading more back and forth. No flash for the Janna. She gets shielded, but it's not going to be enough damage because the W is going to get blocked by the Xayah. Very smartly, mind you. She doesn't even get snared for it because she didn't take any damage previously. Some more trading going on back and forth in both the bot and top lane. There's the riposte going down again, but it doesn't really block much. She's going back for some more trades, but she might have gone a little too far. The harpoon lands. Here comes the flame spitter. She's getting really low. She's forced to flash away, in fact, because she realizes that last harpoon might have been the end of her. And as I was saying before, despite her going Doran's Blade, which most people would assume is the standard, really the Doran shield is perfect against Deathfire touch users because every single tick refreshes the regen, and really I feel like you'd just be abusing the mechanic of the item if you decide to go for the Doran shield. Even in something like a Fiora versus Rumble matchup, Hook is going to land despite the Flay not landing, but they're not really going to get much trading back for it. Fiora does use her TP in the top lane. Some more trading back and forth. Negatron Cloak, first item for the Galio. Ooh, he manages to get a couple autos off. The fadeaway Q for a little bit more damage, a lot of chunking. Both of them chugging that corrupting potion now. Corki getting a little bit better of the trade, managing to land one last phosphorus bomb before he backs away. He's going for more of an all-in. He manages to Valkyrie out of the way of that Justice punch. Might have been the end of him otherwise. Galio getting level 6 first, surprisingly enough, even though he's got that CS deficit. Some more aggressive trading back and forth, and the heal is not yet completed for the Corki. Or I guess refreshed for the Corki, so he does have to be a little bit careful. He can still get all in by that potential burst from the Galio. Bouncing grenades, not going to land the fourth hit onto either of the champions. Just a little bit more trading back and forth. We can see that first backs for the junglers have been completed as well. Kha'Zix likes that aggressive red smite. Reaver really a fan of the red smite and the utility it manages to bring specifically to him when he's dueling others. At the same time, we can see that the Tiamat was completed. First item for the Rek'Sai has become the traditional Rek'Sai build. It's good for early clear. A little bit of an all-in the bottom lane. Both summoners are available for the Xayah. She's forced to flash away. The exhaust goes down on the Jhin as well, so he just fourth shots the Janna instead. They wind up getting the better for that trade again. This aggressive Thresh play, he's basically going in off cooldown, and with those ignites threatening those all-ins, he really has to be careful. Some top lane trading going back and forth. The control ward's been taken down. The harpoon does miss, so there's a few more autos for the Fiora. She manages to get the better of that trade. A little bit more trading back and forth, but the harpoon goes back, and a little bit more Deathfire touch procced onto the Fiora. We can see Ninja Tabi completed for first item for the Rumble. He definitely wants to negate a lot of that auto attack damage he's going to be feeling. We might have our first counter gank of the game along with our first gank. Rek'Sai was spotted out in the top side of the map. They did not communicate that Fiora very clearly saw the ward go down by the Rumble into the Tribrush. Rek'Sai walked right over it. They're trading back and forth now, but Rek'Sai still going for it. Here comes the ultimates from both sides. The equalizer does not hit anything. One tower shot. That's going to be a flash knockup right into the Galio Cyclone. Here comes the Rek'Sai ult trying to get something back. There's going to be the flash away from the Rumble, but he's just going to be able to slowly burn away that Rek'Sai, and then the flash auto attack from the Fiora finishes her off. Somehow Thresh manages to get the kill onto the Kha'Zix in the middle of the jungle. He flashes away, and he's not going to be able to get followed either. Some kind of weird turnaround means that with Jhin not even getting an assist, Thresh just straight up managed to solo kill Kha'Zix in his jungle somewhere. He must have recalled on that control ward by the blue and must have been a little too low, and Thresh couldn't help himself. With those Mobies completed, he wanted that kill, and he got it, and got away too. He managed to even get the first blood gold for it to even negate a little bit of the advantages in this top side of the map they just got for that counter gank successfully happening. But at the same time, not exactly the greatest distribution of gold, having that first blood gold go legitimately only to the Thresh. Hook is not going to land. He's already a little low from that earlier trade, opting not to back despite having no potions. Some trading going back and forth. Jhin trying to heal back up a little bit with the Warlords. That fourth shot definitely really complements the way Warlords now affects AD carries. Oh, we got a gank in the bottom side of the map. The W is going to land. The hook is going to get dodged by Xayah's ultimate. She manages to root the Rek'Sai. The Lantern's coming in, but here comes the TP out of nowhere from the Rumble. That's going to be one kill for him, and the other donated to the Xayah. Very nice counter ganks once again all over the map. The eGirl Fanboys and their communication for these counter ganks, immaculate so far. They managed to get advantages all over the place, and now not only is top ahead, but bottom as well. They're going to keep trying to take this tower. The Equalize is going to knock away this Jhin, get him away from the tower, and force him to cancel his ultimate curtain call. The Fiora TP comes back in return. She's decided that enough is enough. We really don't want to give away this first tower gold, but in the meantime, Rumble and Kha'Zix are going to go two-man this Drake while the rest of the team shoves out their lanes. We can see that the bottom lane of the eGirl Fanboys is now heading towards the Drake. They managed to secure it just fine. That's going to be a Mountain Drake going over to the side of eGirl Fanboys now. Galio still pushing in the mid lane. He does have quite a bit of CS deficit. However, he is probably going to be just fine with that trade so far. He managed to not only keep his top lane alive, but get him snowballing with just the use of his ultimate. And of course he does scale up very nicely. Looks like he's going to be opting for the new Abyssal Mask with a new build path. I made that mistake yesterday, forgetting that Abyssal Mask had been changed multiple times recently. It's now out of Catalyst and Negatron Cloak, and it's definitely a different item than we once knew it as. Uh-oh, we might have a little bit of aggression coming in the top side of the map. She tries to gain some movement speed for that auto, but she gets played back and then hooked, and that fourth shot is going to execute her. Well played on the side of bring back the minion. They saw the Janna in the mid lane clearing some wards, running through the lane. They knew they could play aggressive on the Xayah. They have the deep ward on the bottom side of the jungle. They know Kha'Zix is nowhere nearby. They managed to get that kill over and even donate it to the Jhin. Help him out in this lane a little bit and help to establish a little bit more dominance in a lane that they were already winning. In the top lane, we can see that Rumble has definitely gone for a more conservative build with the amount of gold he managed to get. He goes for the Seeker's Arm Guard after his Ninja Tabi. So at the very least, it's going to be very, very difficult for this Fiora to get any real damage and trading early on. That's not going to stop her from trying though. The Grand Duel begins. She manages to get 3 of them procced. The Prey Seeker is not going to land as well. With that Hex Drinker as well, despite getting 3 of the Vitals off, she really didn't deal a lot of damage to that Rumble, and in return, he's just going to be fighting back. The Flash is available, but he's going to get jumped on by both the Equalizer and the Kha'Zix. Invisibility is going to go down now, and then she's going to be taking a lot of damage in return. Are they going to be committing to this dive? No, they do not. They take a couple tower shots for their troubles. Corki's moving up now, but he starts channeling his recall. He realizes it's a little too late to actually start making a play on the top side of the map. Or is it? He's kind of posturing around there, but nope, he decides against it. Maybe he's just going to go pick up the wave instead since Fiora has recalled. And they actually managed to get first brick in the bottom lane, despite Jhin managing to get that kill earlier on. Maybe just some bad back timings and some miscommunication, considering Rek'Sai is on the top side of the map. And they wind up losing that first tower for it. Oh, the Justice Punch does get blocked by the Rek'Sai tunneling away. He channels his damage reduction taunt. He's going to be taking a little bit of damage, but he flashes over the wall after getting shielded by the Janna. He's going to get away with just a flash burn. A little bit of lull in the action means that we can I spoke too soon. The package is going to be coming in from the side. A lot of damage onto the Kha'Zix. He's forced to flash over the wall, but the Valkyrie follows him. Janna's going to get taken down in the meantime, also by the Corki, just from the Valkyrie tick damage. The W from Jin's going to land onto the Xayah. She's going to get hit a couple times, and Jin's going to finish off that kill. Hook's going to land onto the Rumble. Both the Galio and the Rumble are getting a little bit lower. Fourth shot's going to take care of the Rumble. Now here comes the Curtain Call to try and finish off the Galio as well. A couple of the shots missed, but the flash and Q from the Fiora is going to finish off the Galio for the clean ace. That's a 5-for-1 trade onto the side of Bring Back Dominion, and with that one aggressive play, they not only equalize the gold, but they now get a fast track onto the mid lane. No teleports available yet for the solo lanes, means that they're going to be able to get some free time onto this tower. Jin is staying in the mid lane for a little bit longer. They're clearing the wave away. A little bit of trading onto this Janna as she's trying to defend to the best of her abilities. And now we're going to have that actual lull in the action. Looking at some item builds now, we can see some of the differences in priorities for both teams. Rek'Sai has opted for a little bit of an interesting build. Tiamat into Smite Stone, into Balmy Cinder, and then double longswords. Not quite sure what the priority is there. In the meantime, though, we see the Red Smite Warrior for Reaver, definitely one of the more aggressive starts. But he goes for a Kindle Gem to kind of counteract that. Really synergizes well with the damage reduction he gets from that Red Smite as well. So most likely going to see a Black Cleaver second item, give himself some extra tankiness as well as some very nice CDR to help him approach that 40% gap. And we can see some lane assignments coming in. Corki is now in the bottom side of the map, taking full advantage of all the gold he's had. He already has his Triforce and his Tier 2s completed. Definitely has a leg up over the competition right now. We see a little bit of posturing in the bottom side of the river. 3 moving up after seeing Kha'Zix clear that control ward. Directed camera is telling me to watch this top lane trading instead, however. Looks like this is definitely going in the favor of the Rumble now. After he's completed that Haunting, guys, he's just got a ton of damage, and really that 10 CS advantage that the Fiora has means nothing compared to the 4 kills that this Rumble has acquired over the game. More trading going back and forth. Galio content to just clear the wave, take a little bit of hope. The Flame Spitter still going on. Here comes the ultimate from the Fiora, but the Kha'Zix is coming in now. She manages to proc all 4 of the vitals and heal quite a lot. She riposts, but it doesn't ripost anything but a little bit of ticks of Flame Spitter damage. Here comes the flash over the wall, and the smack with the drill is going to secure that kill onto the Fiora. But at the same time, Bring Back Dominion are looking to try and make a play on the bottom side, that even though the Scuttle Crab is providing vision, they're going to be able to secure this Mountain Drake for themselves. At the same time, again, even more counterplay coming from both teams. They managed to get a push onto the middle tower, but the Curtain Call is going to be coming down after Janna's dropped low. Galio is going to be taking the brunt of the damage. He's trapped inside the box, but Rek'Sai is going to get burned up hardcore. Here comes the ultimate. Now Rek'Sai ultimate is not going to land on anyone. Galio is going to be taken low, taken down by the 4th shot. The hook's going to land on the Janna. Here comes the TP from the Fiora. She's going for the Xayah. Janna's caught between 2 ADCs. She's going to go down. Xayah is going to go down next. Only Kha'Zix is going to be limping away from this fight. And now the rest of the blue team have some time on this tower for themselves. With 2 ADCs, they might be able to take this tower. It looks like they're going to have to wait for the next creep wave, but they've got the time for it. Both the teleports are up for the solo lanes for the eGirl Fanboys, but I don't think they're going to commit for this. They have no backup available. At the same time, they're splitting on what objectives they want to take. The 280 carries take the tower. Fiora and Thresh are going to duo this Rift Herald, and they're going to be able to secure it without any contest. And now, with that play, Bring Back Dominion are now back in the driver's seat. A little bit of confusion on which one of them actually gets the trinket for the Rift Herald, but in the end, they give it over to the Fiora. Fiora still has not completed an item, but after that most recent team fight, that may change very shortly. She got a little bit of global gold for the tower going down. She got some solo kills by killing the Xayah in that team fight. Now she's pushing up this lane. She might have enough gold now to finally complete her first item, and with every item that this Fiora completes, it's going to get harder and harder for the Rumble to match her alone. We can see the Rumble's well aware of that by completing the Zhonya's before he completes his Liandry's. Now in the mid lane, we can see some lane assignments going on right now. What was originally a 1-3-1 has 4 members now moving to the top side of the map. Xayah is trying to close out this lane as quickly as possible. The package is available for Corki. Looks like they're moving along the river right now. They want to try and force something in the top side of the map. They see the Rumble splitting in the bottom side. They know he has TP, but they feel like they can force this anyway. All 5 members now starting to establish vision, and in the corner of my eye I can see that Rift Herald start to get channeled. Looks like they're going to full on commit. Oh, trying to break that ward in the middle of everything. Gets a hook onto the Xayah. That means that the Galio ulti is going to be burned very early. Another hook manages to land onto the Galio. He taunts in return to get a little bit of damage reduction. Not really punished for it. Rumble's on the front line right now trying to deal damage. Here comes the equalizer. Manages to block off the Jhin from the rest of his team. He takes the Lantern but gets taunted immediately. Blown up first. Here comes the Xayah ultimate. Rumble is going to use his Zhonya's to try and stay alive on the front line. A lot of flashes are burned and they manage to escape after taking away that tower. They trade just the Jin's life for the tower from the looks of it. But at the same time, all 5 members are going to start pushing this top side in the meantime. Fiora does not have her TP available, but she's going to start the split push in the mid lane. We've got 3 members. Corki's a little bit low. The hook is not going to land. They managed to deal a decent amount of damage, but here comes the taunt. It taunts too. Rek'Sai gets jumped on by Kha'Zix. Here comes the flash from the Xayah. She's going for the auto attack. She knows there's no flash available for the Thresh. Very low onto the Rumble, but the Janna ulti does keep him alive for a little bit longer. Here comes the TP from the Galio. That actually gets stopped by his own team member. The Blast Cone gets destroyed, and it means that Fiora is going to be able to take that tower unprotected. Yes, that's a word. Curtain Call does go down. That's going to be a dive from Reaver onto the Corki. Now here comes Thresh, now forced to stay under tower, but that red tick from the red smite is going to mean he takes tower aggro. In the meantime, Xayah kills Rek'Sai. Jhin gets jumped on by the Kha'Zix, barely manages to live from that 4 shot. Now it's a 1v3, but Fiora's coming around the corner into the river. Thresh is going to get dove in a moment, but here comes the flash from the Fiora. Is she going to be able to deal enough damage? Yes, she does. That's 2 already dead. Janna's still taking tower aggro. 1 more Q from the Fiora might be enough to finish her, but she's got the movement speed buff from her W. Here comes the tornado. It gets reposted, but it's just too far away at this point. She manages to get away, and a very clumsy team fight from both teams results in multiple deaths, a downed outer tower on the side of the eGirl Fanboys, and a lot of flashes blown. I'm actually interested. I know if you cancel your TP, you get the reduced cooldown, but if your teammate cancels it, I don't believe you get the reduced cooldown. So not only was that a little bit of miscommunication on the side of the eGirl Fanboys, but they actually wind up giving Galio the full duration now on this TP cooldown, meaning he's not going to have it up for quite some time. Definitely a mistake on the side of the eGirl Fanboys. That's a heavy chunking on that 4th shot. We can see that IE has already started putting in work for the Jhin. Manages to deal a huge amount of damage. Galio has shoved up this bottom lane. Looks like he's not going to get collapsed on in time. Fiora starts to push that lane back in her favor. Rumble has gotten a little bit of priority in the top lane, and we can see multiple members of Bring Back Dominion are prioritizing the mid priority. Marks would be very proud with this development. Now we can see both sides collecting around the bottom side. 20 seconds until that dragon is up. Here comes the hook onto the Kha'Zix, but there's no follow-up yet. Looks like he's going to take the Blast Cone to safety. The Ghost Blade has been activated by the Jhin. He wants to get the hell out of there and back in the middle of his team. Start posturing around the bottom side. A little bit of trading back and forth. The Harpoon lands onto the Corki twice. That's a lot of chip damage onto him. That Deathfire touch ticking down. Both sides still kind of posturing around this. The hook is not going to land onto the Kha'Zix. He manages to get away from safety in time. A little bit more poke back and forth. Corki lands one of his rocket barrages onto the Xayah. Fiora has decided she's going to start split pushing the bottom lane with nothing happening yet. One of the traps is going to get procced onto the Galio, but he gets to walk away just fine. Fiora pushes up that lane, and we can see that the rest of the eGirl Fanboys are now posturing. The hook is going to land on the Kha'Zix. He might be the first to go down. He gets caught out. The Galio ult is going to buy him a little bit of extra time. Galio's taking a huge amount of aggro. He's going to get taken very low, though. Kha'Zix manages to jump away and does not die. The equalizer does land onto multiple members, but Galio's going to be the first to go down. Curtain Call continues its quest to try and kill the Rumble. The Zonias is going to keep him alive for a moment, but the W from the Jin's going to land, and Corki finishes off that kill as well. Now they've got 5 members pushing onto the bottom lane tower, and there's not going to be any contest for this first inner tower. 3 members dead, only Kha'Zix and Xayah alive. They're both forced to back all the way to the fountain to try and heal up, but at the same time, that means there's a lot of siege potential. Remember just how much AD there is on the side of Bring Back Dominion. They're going to be able to continue to fast push. Still 10 seconds on Galio and another 15 for the Rumble means they can secure this inhib without a problem. A little bit of trading back and forth. Ghostblade activated for the Jin. Wants a little bit of extra movement speed to get that auto off onto the bug. Looks like they're going to be able to secure a hell of a lot after that team fight win. An entire downed inhibitor. They get to take the blue buff on their way out, and they get to secure this Mountain Drake for themselves, assuming there is going to be no contest. Both solo laners have their TP available. Xayah's kind of hanging around here, not quite sure what for, but looks like she's not going to contest it in the end. Mountain Drake going to be going over to the side of Bring Back Dominion. So now we can take a look at this game, look at the state of it, and see what might be happening next. We can see that the Leandris is still not going to be completed for the Rumble. He wants to get that proto belt completed, gives him a little bit of extra mobility and definitely some playmaking. Wants to try and jump onto those double AD carries, kind of get in their face, force them to burn summoners or burn lanterns to get away from that Rumble flame spitter. We can see that the Black Cleaver was completed for the Kha'Zix. Maybe an assassination attempt. No flash for the Jin yet. Oh, that's a flash lantern from the Thresh, but it's a little too late. 1v1 in the top lane, an overheated Rumble is going to have a lot of trouble dealing with this Fiora. All 4 of the procs manage to go down. She manages to riposte the Grand Entrance as well, manages to dodge the Justice Punch and then flash just out of range of the taunt. But here comes the Spike Rax from the Kha'Zix, and then the flash immediately after. He manages to secure that kill. They 1-for-1 trade it in the end, having to go flash for flash on both the Galio and the Kha'Zix. They take the outer tower for their troubles, but it looks like we're not done yet. That package is going to separate both the carries from Janna. Xayah is forced to flash away, but Kha'Zix is going to get executed. Janna had finished her recall without knowing that her team would get collapsed on. She's not going to be there in time, and a flash Sheen proc from the Corki is going to finish off the Xayah as well after she burns both her summoners. And with Fiora up in 12 seconds, we can see the rest of Bring Back Dominion are starting to posture around this bottom side of the map. That downed inhib still needs to be taken care of by one of the members, and Galio has been chosen as the one to deal with it. Right now they're clearing out the vision. The red trinket is going to go expire at the last moments. They do have a control ward they can put into that pit. They use it to disable the wards. Here comes the equalizer. It's placed onto the Baron rather than the enemy heroes. They're not going to really be taking damage from it. Rek'Sai's taken extremely low. Corki's taken low. Rumble's doing his best to try and disrupt all the members of the team, but he's going to go down after a failed Zonia's attempt. Meanwhile, Fiora's trying to go for the 1v2. She gets knocked away from the Janna. Now she's turning her attention onto the Galio. Meanwhile, the Baron has been secured for Bring Back Dominion, smited by Rek'Sai. Fiora's still chasing around. Looks like Kha'Zix is opting for the 1v1. Janna tries to come back to help, but she's just going to get turned on instead. She gets taken down through the exhaust. Kha'Zix is going to be going down next. He does manage to secure 1 kill in return for himself, but now that's 4 members and what was essentially an ace, all with Baron buff now pushing onto the top side of the map. Only Xayah is the one alive at this point. Bring Back Dominion now on a fast track to the top lane. Curtain call goes down because it's a surrender. We've got a surrender. We're going to be going to game 3. A little bit of a surprise there. The game wasn't necessarily that out of hand yet, but with that surrender going in, the eGirl Fanboys have now lost game 2 to Bring Back Dominion. We have a tied series, and what's looking to be a very interesting one, with both teams being very proactive on how they want to establish these games. I already exited out of champion select thing, so whoops. Champion select. Post-game screen. So we don't get to see the stats for that one. My bad. In the meantime, though, we'll go back to listening to music, live stream, and hopefully you guys can enjoy. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay, let's turn that down really quick. Alright, so a quick announcement. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I was following the wrong teams the whole time because I forgot to check the roster. So that was actually a 2-0, and congratulations to the eGirl Fanboys for the quick 2-0, because I don't know how to read. Yes. I believe that is it. Thanks for watching the Phoenix League Ascension eSports series. Hopefully next time I will have an idea of what I'm doing. And have a good night, everyone, or a good afternoon. Happy 4th of July weekend.